Welcome back to our series where we get to know some of the Equus coaches trained by the Center for Equus Coaching. Hopefully, you've been watching our other episodes and are starting to get a sense of what Equus coaching is. But if it's still new to you, I often describe it as learning the way we're meant to as humans, in movement with our bodies, in a relationship with another being, and experientially exploring the gap between where you are currently and where you'd like to be in your life. My guess, however, is the coaches you meet through these conversations will help make this even clearer as they share about their work, the benefits their clients are seeing, and how their amazing horse partners are helping in the process. My name is Travis Stock. I've been an Equus coach since 2013, and I'm one of the instructors for the Center for Equus Coaching. The next coach joining me is Nancy McKay, who is a certified Equus Coaching Master Facilitator. Nancy has found a passion through her own sobriety journey for supporting others who are in recovery with the Equus coaching experience. I'm excited for you all to learn more about her story and from the work she's doing. Thanks for joining me, Nancy.
Thanks for having me, Travis.
It's so lovely to be here with you, and I think there's something unique about your story with your focus in recovery, and I'm just excited that we get to learn more about how you're using horses to help people with that.
Thank you.
First, let me find out, where are you located? Where are you doing your work?
Well, I'm in Lakewood, Colorado, which is just outside of Denver, so Denver metro area. And most of my clients are local that I work with the horses. I do some virtual coaching with people around the country, but so most of my Equus clients live here in the Denver metro area. And, I work out of a couple places that are local here. One is the Temple Grandin Equine Center, which is near downtown Denver, near the National Western Complex. And the other one is Happy Dog Ranch in Sedalia, which is south of Denver.
Mm. Oh, Temple Grandin's facility. That's she's done a lot in terms of our relationships to animals, especially horses, and so it's a
She has.
yeah.
She's really a magnificent instructor and teacher and woman. And the center is owned by Colorado State University, where
Mm-hmm.
she's a professor. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful. So let's get into your origin story of how you got into Equus coaching. How did you first hear about the Center for Equus Coaching, and what made you want to sign up?
well, I was in training with Martha Beck to become a Wayfinder life coach, and as part of that process, many of my instructors were also instructors with the center.
Yeah, it's quite a pipeline for the Center for Equus Coaching. People who go in to become a life coach without horses, and then they find out about us, and they're like, "Wait, I could hang out with horses while I do this? Okay,
Exactly.
let's do that." Yep.
Exactly right, and that's what happened. I went to a workshop, in California, uh, when we were gathering with the Martha Beck group and met Renee and,
Renee Sievert, one of the instructors for the center.
yes, Renee, uh, and so I just fell in love with
Mm,
it. I had been to a retreat the weekend before and then this workshop, and I thought, "I have got to learn how to do this work. I just have to." It was,
mhm.
it was just magic for me, and so I, enrolled as soon as I got back.
It's amazing how many of us feel that way. It's like we experience it once and we get this urgency. I need to do this.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what it felt like. It
Yeah.
really felt urgent.
So you had this already desire to work with people and were training as a life coach. What was it about the horses that you were drawn to wanting to add that to your practice?
Oh, God, it was how I felt when I was in their presence.
Yeah.
Um, it it's somewhat hard to describe, but I just felt like I was doing what I needed to do,
Mm,
It's and so when I'm coaching with a horse and a client, I get that feeling all over again. This is exactly what I am supposed to be doing.
mm,
And so the feeling that I had initially when I got to, when I was in training and so on and so forth, I was just I felt like I was in my element, and I had never spent time around horses at all. I mean, it
mm.
wasn't like I grew up on a farm or anything. I didn't have that exposure. And yet, for some reason, I felt like I was right where I was supposed to be. It was really unusual.
It's cool when we connect to a sense of purpose, when we can like that right time, right place. Oh, this just changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah.
When you think back on your first experience in the client role when you went to that workshop, do you remember your very first session and what it was all about?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The thing that was very interesting about the session was this horse was was waving her head over my head,
Oh, wow.
and which was the exact same action that the horse the weekend before did.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was in Arizona one weekend and California the next weekend, and 2 different horses did the same thing to me.
Hmm.
And so that was one thing that really struck me was, okay, 2 different horses, 2 different states, they're telling me by their actions the same message.
And what
And
was that message?
the message I got was that
Yeah.
I needed to be grounded.
Mm.
And, kind of at that point, I was sort of, not.
Okay, so it was pertinent to that moment as
Yeah,
you
it
weren't.
definitely was. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
What was going on in your life that made you feel sort of ungrounded at that point?
Uh, Probably because I was still in my corporate job.
Mm.
Um, and would be still for quite some time, but it was having that realization that I knew I wanted to do something different, and I still had one foot in the unpleasantry,
Mm.
and but knowing where I wanted to go, it causes some incongruity, right? And that's what I think the horses were picking up on, and fortunately, they were right there with me, though.
Mhm.
They were what I got from it was they were assuring me that I was on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny sometimes. We laugh in the Center for Equus Coaching that we are kind of like a rescue for people coming out of the corporate world.
Oh
Like
god, yeah.
horses go to horse rescues, and people rescues come to us because there's something about the corporate world that can be really hard on people, that can become ungrounding for people, that can be really difficult. And the place that people often seek is something completely different and something that completely feels a little more fulfilled and more that they feel called to be a part of, and we tend to people tend to gravitate to our work.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
you had a successful career in the corporate world, oil and gas is what I'm remembering, is that right?
that's right.
Yeah. So what made you start over? You started over at like 61, something like
I
that?
did. I started training to become a life coach at 61, and that was as a result of for a result of a couple things. I got sober in 2009
Mhm.
before I started back into oil and gas. I had been in and out of it for many, 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 many years. Um, Also had a 10-year career as a kitchen and bath designer. I got sober, and then 6 years later, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Wow.
And that was a real wake-up call as far
Mhm.
as you're doing work that you don't love.
Mm.
And I wanted to do something, even though I wasn't diagnosed with a terminal stage, it still got my attention. And it was, um, you know, what the hell am I doing with my life? Right.
Yeah.
And so I really started questioning things, and I started questioning why I was doing work that made me miserable, even though it was really well paying and great benefits and, all the things.
Yeah, those golden handcuffs, they call it that for a reason. You're stuck there because it's very attractive to have that income and to have those benefits.
Absolutely. And I knew that I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And so I started training to become a life coach, and then I threw the horses in on top of that, and um, retired at the age of 62. I think I was. It was 2019, and um, I've been doing this full time since then. It's been almost 6 years.
Nothing like a health scare to put things into priority, to rearrange your priorities, yeah?
Yeah, it just got my attention.
Yeah.
It just got my attention.
Mm,
And there's a lot of things that I haven't changed
yeah.
as of it, but
Mhm.
my career was the big thing,
Yeah.
and wanting to help people instead of um, you know, doing something that wasn't completely aligned
And
value-wise.
yet I would imagine, tell me where I'm wrong, but I'd imagine that starting over at 61, starting a new career, that takes a lot of bravery. Leaving all of the benefits and the finances of the corporate world and starting over and starting a new business that are it's kind of a new field we're in, and it's difficult to kind of build something in this that's
Um,
sustainable. And so that must have taken a lot of bravery to do so.
well, yeah, it did. It
Yeah.
did. And, I had a few people telling me that I, uh,
Had lost your mind?
lost my mind, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
And, there's days when I wonder if um, but but truly, I've really never looked back. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't go about this probably in the right way, all of the decisions that I've made, but, um, I'm really grateful that I have the the courage to do it.
Mm,
And I know that I can I can really look myself in the mirror and feel proud of myself for what I've taken on. And, the fact that I'm still working at this,
mm.
mm, is, you know, uh, it's something that I'm proud of. And um, do I miss the big paycheck and the benefits? Yeah, I do.
Uh,
And I am happier than I have been in a long.
mm,
I it's not an easy business to be in, but it is a very fulfilling business.
yeah.
And um, I'm still glad that I made the decision, and that I'm still, you know, alive and kicking, and, plan to do it for quite a few more years. So,
Well, thanks for sharing the complexity of that journey. I think that's important to highlight that it does take a lot of bravery. There's some times where you doubt it, that you feel like maybe you didn't do it the right way. And I think that as you were talking about that, I've heard such a common story that I have clients that come to me with and that I see people working through is we have these sort of preordained paths of what is the right way to do something. There's an order to something, there's a time in your life to start a career, there's a time not to restart your career or you're too old for that. There's so many right ways of doing it that we externally take in and then internalize within ourselves. And things like Equus coaching really give us the space to reflect on, is that right way actually working for me? Or is it limiting me? Is it keeping me stuck unhappy? Is it keeping me stuck in unhealthy patterns? And so I loved hearing you share, like, there are moments of those doubts, but you keep coming back to this work because it makes you happy, because it fulfills you. And then you can be proud of that. And then that becomes your right path rather than some externally driven or approved upon right way and right path of doing things.
absolutely.
Going back to your first experiences with horses and what you've learned over time being a student in the Equus coaching, what are some of the lessons you've learned from Equus coaching and from the horses?
um, well, being the present moment,
Mm,
I think, is probably the biggest one. I am frequently although not nearly as much as I used to be, um, either in yesterday or tomorrow. And you can't do that when you're with horses.
Next to a 1,000-pound animal.
Yeah.
It's a little difficult to be worried about the other things.
Yeah. If you're not in the moment, you're gonna, chances are you're gonna get stepped on or nipped or something. You gotta be present.
Mm,
And you can't have an agenda. You can have a framework maybe, but things, horse isn't gonna do what you necessarily want them to do in the moment that you want them to do it.
mhm,
And that was, that was something that I learned in training.
mhm.
I had an instance where, I was an organized task master, and you give me a job and I'll do it. And that kind of backfired on me when I was in training. I was trying to move a horse from point A to point B, and she was not having it.
She said, "Good luck."
Yeah, she said, "Yeah, well, w- we're gonna see who's the
Uh,
bigger girl here,"
mhm,
and it won me.
mhm, mhm,
And so, I learned that uh, you have to be present. You have to consider the horse, for crying out loud. I had not even considered the horse
mm.
in this particular instance.
What a vital and well, an important lesson to take in because how many times are we engaging in our relationships with other humans where we don't take into account what they want or what they're needing or where they're at or where their energy levels are at, and we bring our agenda to the equation. And so you learn that in there with a horse,
Yep,
and then you get to go, oh gosh, how often am I not present in my relationships? How often am I not actually taking into account the other being that's in front of me?
exactly.
Mm.
So then the next day I got to correct that, and I
Mm.
got to invite the horse to work with me instead of telling her that she was gonna work with me. And as that invitation came and my apology for the day before, because I owed her an apology,
Mm.
she almost jumped into my back pocket. She she followed me around the round pen and did whatever I asked her to do. And
That's what's so cool about our work that's different than other coaching modalities is you get to experience a shift. You get to try something new, you get to come from a different place, you get to repair where you've done something and make amends for things that you've done wrong. Try something new and you get real time shifts that you get to experience and go,
oh my
"Oh,
god,
that went so differently." And it's not just up here in the mind, it's actually you feel it.
you
You
feel it.
can know it, you can see it, you can feel it. It's tangible, it's real.
Yeah. I'll
That's
never forget that. That's
yeah.
something that I will have with me forever.
Oh, I love hearing stories like that because
Yeah.
so many of us that have experienced this work have those stories.
Yeah.
Sometimes I gave my sort of example or my definition in the beginning of how I describe Equus coaching. Are there any words that you put to it when someone's coming to you and going like, "What do you do as an Equus coach?" Like, are there any words you put to
Magic.
it?
That's my favorite. I mean, that's what I say is horses are magic, and
uh,
it's it is difficult to describe, because I think it's I think it's different for everybody,
hmm
and I think that it's really just something that you have to experience to really understand.
hmm
But what I do say to people is that this is a chance for you to be truly yourself, and hopefully you'll give yourself the gift of being vulnerable
mm
so that the horse will engage with you and give you some really valuable feedback, because that's what they are. And I also, I call them lie detectors, that they're bullshit detectors. They're not going to put up with somebody who thinks that just because they're, making a boatload of money and drive a fancy car that they have you know, they're together.
Mhm.
And because the horse doesn't care. And so if, if you act as if you don't have a care in the world and your house is being foreclosed on, horse is going to pick up on that.
Mhm.
And
So
so,
true.
they really can help you become aware that you're not being honest with yourself. Doesn't matter if you're honest with me or you, but if you're not honest with yourself, then the horse is going to pick up on that.
It's so true, and it's so crazy how even sometimes, like, a horse can sometimes see right through even where we lie to ourselves,
Oh,
and we may not even be aware that we're lying to ourselves. We may not actually know that we're not telling the truth in that moment. We may have hidden that from ourselves or just practice believing something else for so long that we don't know.
right.
Horses can see right through that. You're so right. So we've both kind of mentioned that you have had your own sobriety journey and that you're interested in working with people in recovery. Let's talk a little bit more about that. What would you like to share about your own journey and the work you're doing?
Well, my own journey was I was not a 24-hour a day drinker. I had a pretty high bottom um, comparatively to a lot of people. I was pretty high functioning, and yet my drinking ended when I tried to kill myself.
Mm.
And so it was I scared myself sober, basically. And fortunately, got some help. I started working a 12-step program, and um, I was able to stop drinking and touch wood, haven't had a drink since March 14th of 2009.
Wow,
And
we just
so
had your
I
anniversary
just had my
when we're
anniversary.
recording.
Yeah, 16 years. So
Congratulations. I didn't know that your rock bottom, your version of that, I didn't know that. So thank you for sharing. That's a
yeah.
really vulnerable thing to share, and I appreciate hearing that. It's a new piece of knowledge with you.
So for me, the shame involved in knowing I had a problem and knowing that I had to do something about it was really it was really hard
Mm,
to admit that I couldn't drink safely anymore. And the program that I went through, um, AA, is Alcoholics Anonymous. And so, you can tell other people that you have a problem, but they're not real big on the recovering out loud
mm,
element, really, from what my experience has been.
mhm,
And so I was still very full of shame and hiding the fact that I was in recovery for many years.
mm,
I didn't want anybody to know. So only my really close friends, family knew that I was in recovery. People that I worked with at this new job, they had no idea. And so, and I was terrified that they would find out. Not only was I was just horrified that and and finally, I got enough sobriety under my belt and I got enough courage, I guess, that I realized that I didn't give a if they found out. And so for me, smashing the stigma of of not only over drinking and being an alcoholic, but being in recovery
mm,
has been a passion of mine. You know, it's okay to not drink. It's okay to be in recovery. It's okay to allow yourself to live without mind altering substances. And I do a lot of volunteer work for an organization called She Recovers.
mm,
And their tagline is we're all recovering from something, which is something that I truly believe and felt that way even before I found them. And It's not just alcohol or drugs, it's also burnout and grief and chronic illness and cancer and all the things. We've all got something that we're trying to recover from. And until we all understand that we're all in the boat, of recovering from something, then, the compassion level increases when you understand that everyone is struggling with something at one point in their life or another. Nobody gets out of this life unscathed.
No.
And, it's okay to learn how to face your challenges in a different way. And my favorite way of doing that is with horses.
I was going to say, as soon as you said that phrase, I was like, that's exactly what we do. We help people learn to face their challenges in different ways.
And so for me, it's like, um, you know, my passions so beautifully dovetail, recovery and horses.
Hmm.
And and for me, it's really working with women to empower themselves to want a better life.
Hmm.
That, that whatever it is that they're challenged with has taken away from them. For me, Chardonnay, she was my best friend until she wasn't. And then, that was mean,
Hmm.
you know? So knowing that there's something better for you out there is huge. And having a horse make that clear to you
Hmm.
is really powerful
Hmm.
because they will.
Do you have an example story of a horse making that real for someone that you could share?
Yes. I was working with one of my clients last week, actually, and we worked with the horse that we work with every week. And he he was being a little cheeky, as she called her.
Mm.
He was being a little cheeky. And she is in the process of getting a divorce as a result of our work together. And this horse was doing things like, you know, pushing his nose against her back and being a little nippy and being a little bit of an apple. And I said, "What does he remind you of?" And she started laughing and she said, "Well, my husband, of course." And it was just, he was pushing every button that she had to push.
Mm.
And it was extraordinary, because how often have you said to me, "What does that remind you of?"
Mhm.
And it's like, "Oh, you know, okay, so now what are you gonna do about that?"
Mhm.
Right? And it's like, all of a sudden, the light bulb goes on, and, yeah, you can't push a 1,200-pound horse away, but you can maybe decide how you're gonna handle that situation differently,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, it's like the key question of our work is what does this remind you of? Or how is this like something that's going on in your outside world? Yeah, it's a big metaphor. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think that's a powerful example and such a recent example that you were working with somebody to get to see the patterns that play out, the buttons that are being pushed, and to give your client the opportunity to wake up and go, "Oh, how am I going to handle this now?
Yeah,
The old way's no longer working. How am I going to try this differently?"
right.
So I know that you're running retreats throughout the year and stuff. If people wanted to find out more about your work and wanted to come to one of your retreats, where do they find out information about that?
My website is the best place, and that's womenempoweredrecovery.com. And, yeah, I've got several things coming up, and I'm really excited about all of it. It's just, while I'm working with women in recovery, it's not, like I said, it's not just alcohol or, drugs. It's not substance abuse. It's burnout, grief, and all the things. It's just, we're all facing life's challenges. And right now we've got a plethora of them.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're pointing this out because we are all recovering from things, and it's tough to be a human, and we don't come out unscathed, and that we all have our own different versions of it. But I love that you're normalizing that recovery thing, that it doesn't just have to be drugs and alcohol. It can be about the human condition and what we're all moving through.
Right. And, right now you know, things are pretty chaotic. And I think we all need help getting through what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And so we're all recovering from that too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Equus Coaching is such a great place to do some of that recovery work. So, thank you so much, Nancy, for joining me and for being a part of this series. I think it's really just important for people to know that there are Equus coaches out there doing good work, and that if you're somebody that is needing some support in your recovery journey, whatever you're recovering from, Nancy McKay is such a great coach to reach out to. And we'll make sure that all of your links are in the description of this video. So, thanks for
Great.
joining me, Nancy.
Thank you so much.
If you've been listening and you're interested and you find this sort of urgency that you want to become an Equus coach or you want to experience it, please go to equuscoach.com to find out more about the cohorts we're running. This year, we're also running a lot of like demo days where we're demonstrating this work all in different areas of the country. And we're also running some personal development retreats through the center where you can come and experience this from the client role if you're not ready to jump in as a coach. So please go to equuscoach.com to find out more information and to see if this work can help you in the recovery process too. Thanks for joining me, Nancy.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.